Ladies and gentlemen, Forrest Walker here. Welcome back to another live stream. I know it's very late, and I know people are more likely going to go to bed at the time of me doing this live stream, but it's time for another serious talk. Now, let's talk. I want to talk about the general sense of where this is coming from. I'll talk about why I did this. But I ultimately wanted to talk about the general aspects of, everything here. So, as you guys can see, you guys are using your internet to watch this VOD, this live stream, however you're watching it, whether it's live or on the VOD. You are all watching this on your computer, your tablet, your... Hey, Mr. Coconut, how you doing today? Yeah, you're currently watching this on your phone, your tablet. Hey, David, how you doing today? I, I'm talking to you in a little bit, David, because I uh, remembered you texted me the other day. I'll talk to you here in a little bit after the stream if I'm not too tired to talk. But anyway, but as you guys can see, you guys are watching this on your computer, your tablet, your phone, TV, whatever. Um, and you're watching it through the internet that you have. Your Wi Fi, if you will, pretty much. Now, this is just. Now, the website that I'm putting this on is one of countless, like millions of, like hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, whatever, of websites currently on the internet. The internet is such a fascinating place. It comes with all kinds of things for adults and for kids, adults, elders, teenagers, even pets alike. But the one good thing about the internet is that you can learn things, you can watch things, laugh, cry, do whatever you want. But there's always the downside of the internet. Long story short, social media. Things like social media, where people are all about where it's filled with people that are a mixed bag of, well, let's be nice to people to, oh, let's be assholes. Let's do this, let's do that, right? That's the internet for you. But the one thing that I'm seeing to notice about the internet, specifically on social media, whenever somebody hides behind a username, like they don't show their real name. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, whenever somebody hides behind the power of anonymity, they tend to act like they don't have a brain. Like they just somehow they literally just throw common sense right out the damn window, and it's kind of messed up how that is. Regardless of what they're doing, uh, before they lost their common sense and threw it out the window. I've already talked about the whole Hogwarts Legacy thing, and that's not what this is about. This is about something that is totally different and, in my opinion, completely worse than uh, than Hogwarts Legacy. I'm still not ready to talk about it because there's another thing that I want to bring up. As adults and kids, I've said this before, as adults and kids, we all have to be safe on the internet. We also have to be careful because it's dangerous to be a kid on the internet, and it's not as much, but still dangerous to be an adult on the internet. Here's what I mean. For the kids, they don't know any better. Kids legitimately do not know any better. They think they know everything, but they don't. For kids, they look at the internet as this wonderful place where they can play games with other people. They can, um, where they can play games with other people. They can chat with other people. They could do things on the internet that they probably didn't think was possible. But kids have to be careful on the internet because they do not know who it is on the other side, who it is that they're talking to on the other side of the screen. Kids always have to be careful about that because like you might think that you're talking to somebody who's around your age, like 10, 12, 15, if not a little bit younger, older, or in between, only to find out that you're dealing with an adult that is years, decades even, older than you. That's the problem with that. That's another thing. That is what's called catfishing. When you're dealing with somebody who looks exactly not like what their picture is showing. That is called catfishing. That name gained attraction because of the TV series of the same of that name, Catfish. But as dangerous as it is for kids, adults are adults have to be careful as well. They actually do, especially 18-year-olds because they're not minors anymore. They're not 17 years old anymore. Once they turned 18, they're adults, just like you and I. Well, I say you and I generally for the adults that are watching this video, like you and I. If but yeah, you get what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is, as an adult, we have to be careful because, again, we don't know who's on the other side of the. We actually don't know who's on the other side of it. Now, there are some adults who want to act, who want to uh, do some very messed up things to other people on the internet, thus losing their common sense. For some reason, they just lose their common sense for absolutely no reason. Um, but some adults may unintentionally say things that, or they might say things in a way that others might interpret to be something that they didn't want it to be. I would know because that bit is actually me. And also, it goes back to anonymity because people can say however old they are. Everybody can. Because of the power of anonymity, people could. Unless you recognize the person's profile picture and and you remember, wait a minute, this person ain't that many years old. They're this age. Then blows that just blows up whatever they were trying to do right back in their face when it comes to the people who are trying to fake their age. And I've seen that twice. I've actually dealt with that before twice. Now I'm not going to say names, of course, because these two were from months, if not one was from a few months ago, the other was from last year. So I'm not going to obviously talk about them because what would be the point of talking about old news? But yeah, it was. But so I've met people who have lied about their age, specifically kids trying to say they're at adult age. Twice, okay. The first time, somebody said they were 18, I think, but it turned out they were nowhere near that age. I'll say that much. Like they weren't like super far off from that age, but they weren't. But they weren't that age either way. And the same thing with another person, but this time this person was 2 years off. This one I know because this was a person who I unintentionally said something toward that somebody else thought was sexual in nature. And then when I seen that, I was like, whoa, buddy, I see where you're coming from, but that was not meant to be interpreted as in that way. Because, as an adult, I know I have to be careful with what I say around who. I have to be careful. I have to try to remember, I have to think that I like when I talk to adults, I can talk how I usually talk. But when I'm talking to a minor, someone who is 17 and younger, and before people say anything, yes, yes, adults and kids can talk to each other as long as they're not talking in an adult manner. That is pedophilia. But any other way isn't. Okay? I'm just saying that right now. Be- Hold on, I need to. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that's going to be a bit of a controversial take, but it's true. Uh, it is true. You know, adults and minors can talk to each other as long as, you know, they don't go down the sexual path because obviously the adult should know better than to do that. And if a minor ever tried to do that, well, then we as adults should know, wait a minute, buddy, we're not doing this. Because I am an adult, you are a child. I am not getting my ass in trouble because of you. That's what I would probably say if I was going through that. But I know kids are not, they're not going to do that. Because if anybody pretended to be a kid and they were talking like that, I would know that would be an adult, particularly. Either because, you know, and I've seen it where, you know, I've seen posts where people actually read out the. This is not a funny joke. This is not a funny matter, but I kind of find it funny that people would out themselves as such. Because I've seen posts on Twitter where people would try to weed out, you know, pedophiles by saying, "Hey, I got child pictures. Who wants them?" People just being idiots. I know this because there was somebody in a community that I was in that I was in who actually outed themselves doing that. Like they literally, I think they even messaged the person. They even messaged the person about getting the child pictures. And so that person basically outed themselves. They've got themselves blacklisted because they were dumb enough to bite the bait. Like those fucking fish that when you go out swimming and you catch a fish, these fish are dumb enough to go for that bait. People like this one guy were literally outed themselves because they were dumb enough to not know that they were going to be exposed for what they did, for what they were saying. That's why I just find it crazy that people would be like that. But generally speaking, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm a pedo, but can I? I'm not a pedo, but can I have those pics? But exactly. They of course like the person didn't actually say that, but yeah, I would. I mean, that's that's kind of messed up. Um, but yeah, we as a yeah, I mean, how dumb can you be at all? Like I said, coconut. Whenever people hide behind the power of anonymity, they generally throw common sense out the fucking window. They really do. And like, yeah, that's just how it is. But you know, there are some adults out there who may actually be wanting to, you know, who may be out there wanting to legitimately, uh, you know, give some minors some few good pointers about the real world because they may be nearly ready to come out into the real world to live their life to the fullest. But and you know also show some friendly support to them because yes, like I said before, adults and minors can talk to each other and they actually can be friends. They just cannot do things that, obviously an adult should know not to do with a minor. I don't need to say what that is. Because, again, common sense should not be thrown out the window just because somebody's hiding behind the power of anonymity, okay? But, again, it goes back to what I said. See, and also at the same time, we as adults have to be careful because, like I said, while we have the dangerous adults who actually think it's okay to do this type of shit, we also have adults that, um, who actually might not realize they're talking to a minor. Now, I say this because if you go on Twitter, unless you probably Googled somebody's name and find out how old they are, if they don't show an age in the bio, that is very dangerous in itself because you don't know if that person is an adult or a minor. But you still want to talk to them because of, because reasons. But again, you don't know their age. So again, it's doubly dangerous because what if you said something sexual only to find out they were a minor, but you didn't know their age? You want to know how to fix that? Ask them for their age before you say a fucking thing to them. That's the best way to save yourself, buddy. But where does this conversation stem from? Well, this is where I'm gonna be honest with you here, guys. Okay, so this isn't me. I did nothing wrong, by the way. This isn't me doing anything. The only quote unquote wrong thing I could have done was, the twice now being met with, like I said, twice now talking with somebody who told me they were adults. Well, there was a third one, but I was specifically interacting with two people, only to find out, well, they're not adults, they were minors. So understandably, I got very upset with them. And I told them both straight out, you know how dangerous it could be for someone like me to talk to a minor like you? If I ever said anything, Forrest, what if it was the opposite? Ball man, don't you even? Not really a joking matter, but okay. But anyway, but yeah, I specifically said to the person, could you imagine? Because let me put it to you this way: if I were to have said something that person didn't like. Oh, and by the way, how are you doing, Barlow, Matic, and Nicholas? And Nicholas. Um, but yeah, so I basically said, could you imagine if, think about it like this: if I were talking to a person who said they were an adult, only to find out they were a minor, and then, I understand we got mad, and I said, it. Think of it like this. Think of it like this: if that were to happen, and then later on, I responded to them by saying something that they didn't like, they could take a picture of our DMs and try to spin it in a way where I was doing things. But little would they know I would take pictures of the DMs myself and say, this is the full conversation. This is not edited in any way, this is the full conversation. I didn't know until later they were that age. So, for them to... Because I thought they were 18, but then they said they were 18, but then they said they were 16. Yeah. So yeah, nowadays I'm more careful with who I DM now because of that situation. Now, where did this conversation stem from? Of course, what I just talked about had nothing to do with it. But it does have something to do that I'm pretty sure a number of people that I've supported, that, uh, that this person, who I will not name, because honestly, I'm not throwing a hate mob at him. I have, and honestly, if anybody even tries to say, and if anybody tries to throw, like, go at him for what he did, and try to use my name for doing so, yeah, that's why I'm not saying his name. Some people may know exactly who I'm talking about because this happened. This came out recently. And if they know who he is, I would ask that they not say it because, again, ain't no fucking way I'm gonna have some hate mob being thrown at him. Because the only defense that we could have for this man, and it's a small one, and not a good one at that either, is the fact that he came out and admitted what he did. But, again, that does not justify what he did. He's still messed up, and he's gonna have to own up to it in the way possible. That being said, this has involved somebody who came out recently and admitted that I don't know about pictures, but they did send texts to underage girls. Now, I don't know what possessed this man to think that what he was doing was a good idea, when again, as an adult, he should have known better than to interact with minors in the way that he did. So, and this is a person who I've heard of I've heard of him in a number of communities that I'm in. I initially heard about it through a man who is now taking a hiatus for the time being, which is understandable because he was friends with this individual. So I find that understandable. He probably needs a few days to cope with the fact that a friend of his did something very immoral. And I know that, and I've seen it just before I made this post from another person. Before I made this live stream from another person. But again, I'm not going to say his name because honestly, people have already talked about it, that I've seen it. And I feel like the people who are here have probably heard of what was going on with him already, so I probably don't need to say his name to begin with. But me not saying his name is by no means defending him. Because I too, no matter who it is, I too am shocked that any adult, I don't care who it is, any adult that does it, to me, is very shocking whenever I hear about that. Because again, we as adults should know better than to do this. But again, and of course, it's very hard to defend that. It is very hard to defend it. And it's not, something like that is very hard to try to defend somebody with. Even if it's the person themselves trying to defend it, it's still not really something to defend. Which kind of goes into something that I've said before. Once an ist, always an ist. Can somebody always be a pedophile? Yes and no. I say this with everything else. Like a racist, transphobic, racist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever, any of that kind of hate stuff. I feel like people can change, but if you were known for this type of mannerism, it is very hard to convince people that you've changed your ways. it's going to be like, even if you actually did change your ways and you know not to, not to act or do this shit again, it's very hard. It is very hard to, uh, to get people to forgive you. Yes, of course, the old saying, time heals all wounds. But that is a bit of a lie, especially when somebody that you cared for a whole lot did something so completely something completely immoral. No, like, it's one of the most immoral things you could ever do. Yeah, again, it's very hard. Now, again, I am in no way defending this man. I know what I just said, but I am in no way defending this man. Because at the end of the day, he admitted to what he did. So I know he made a video talking about it, but it's since been removed. So I don't know anything of what he said in that video outside of him admitting what he did. So, but I don't know word for word what he said, because by the time I seen a link to the video, it was already taken down. So I'm gonna say that chances are, within the coming days or weeks, he will be taking his YouTube down. If I had to take a wild guess, as far as I'm concerned, with that man, he will not be welcome in this community. Because, like I've said before, I want my community to be a place where people can be safe. Now, and because of this recent development in regard to this individual, I just can't have someone like that in my in my chats, especially considering the fact that there may or may not be children that are watching my content. About how many subs did he have? I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. And even then, what relevant? How is this? How is that? Truthful, and I'm not, again, not to defend him, but how relevant is that question to this? It doesn't matter how many subscribers he got. He still did a very bad thing. The subscriber count means nothing, especially if it's going to lead to him potentially taking down his YouTube. Do you kind of understand where I'm going with this question? With answering that question? I see that question as a bit of a, not in a deflective sense, but more of in a sense of where it doesn't really matter. So, Coconut, nothing against you, but again, it's irrelevant. That question was completely irrelevant to the topic at hand. And I'm not going to answer irrelevant questions. I'm just saying. The moral of the story is be safe, be careful around on the internet. And if you knowingly do something that you know you shouldn't be doing, but you still do it anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna say the two words that honestly deserve to be said here. But to the people who want to act like they can somehow do something and not get away with it, fuck you. Because when you out yourself in some way, shape, or form, congratulations. You just made it easy for people to blacklist you from your community, from their community. Just like how this person did. I barely even knew the guy to begin with, honestly. So, again, it's no skin on my bones. But that's not to say that this video that he made, which again has since been deleted, it has hurt other people outside of outside of my channel. And to those people, I would like to say, I'm sorry. I would just want to say it sucks that you're going through this feeling I can't even describe the kind of feeling that would be like for somebody to do this, and you just finding out recently that they've been doing this for however long they've been doing it. I can only imagine that feeling. But for those people, I would like to say that to those people who are feeling the effects of what this person admitted to, especially if you know who I'm talking about, um, excuse me. Yeah, I just want to take this time to tell you I'm sorry that you had to go through these emotions right now. And if you need to take a break from the internet to cope with with this situation that you're in with your mindset, so be it. That is your choice, and I will respect it, and I will still be here to support you if you ever need some mental support. And it's going to everybody. Everybody that knew this person, and who knows exactly who I'm talking about here. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, like I said, I'm not going to say his name, but if you are in a number of Discord groups, you may actually know who he is, depending on where the username is brought up. But in the end, the best from here on in, I'm going to move on from this situation because again, I didn't know this person, but I felt like but I wanted to take my 2 cents and talk about a general sense to lead up to that talking point. But yeah, so like I said, as far as that person goes, he is not welcome in my community because again, I want to make this community a place where people can feel safe, and people who've done pedophilish acts, regardless of what kind of pedophilish act they did, acts they did, um, that would go against my moral compass in trying to keep my chat room safe for people who are underage. Because again, you got to be careful with revealing your real age to begin with, especially if you're a minor, because again, the internet is not a safe place, and it could also be against YouTube's terms of service. So bear that in mind. Hello, JP the Clown. How you doing today? That's not. Yeah, but yeah. Long story short, just try to not throw common sense out the window. As long as you go to rehab and truly prove your change, I'll give you a second chance. Well, and I would agree with that, Mr. Coconut, but again, but again, it's going to be a time heals wounds situation with that. That's not a bad point, but again, even if they were given time, to some people, it may not be a second a thing. How do I say this? It could be like this could be a thing where some people might be willing to give him a second chance, but others might not. It just depends on the person. As far as I'm concerned, he is not welcome here. Because again, I want to keep my community safe for people. Anybody of all ages. Even when I'm cussing like a sailor, I still truthfully want my community to be a place where people can feel safe and know that there are going to be others who are going to stick up for them if shit hits the fan, pretty much. That is my ultimate goal here. To make this a place where people can be safe and we can all have fun. And if I have to ban people that I knew for some time to make sure this place is a safe place, so be it. Because again, I'm not going to let I'm not going to let people try to try to be assholes to other people. I'm not going to let a person hit on another person, hit on another individual because of reasons. I just want this place to be a safe place for everybody, and we can all have fun, laugh, cry, do whatever. Basically anything that involves what I'm doing. As long as we're all here having a good time and we're all safe from the craziest of people, or that of finding that it's or being someone's escape from reality. Um, that is my goal. To me, that is my duty on YouTube, and I would do it for absolutely free, mainly because I like doing YouTube for free and because I make an income outside of YouTube. So, what would be the point? So yeah. Yeah, with that being said, again, I would like to apologize. I would like to send my condolences to the people who are very deeply affected by this recent revelation of this person who did some very fucked up shit with minors. Regardless of what kind of shit he did, it's still fucked up anyway. Um, so yeah, for those who are affected by it, and if you need it, send you my condolences. Um, and if you need a break or if you need someone to vent, rant or vent toward, my DMs on both Twitter and Discord are open. If you need to, this is not me. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm here if anybody needs someone to talk to, or at least to just rant and vent their frustrations out onto. I'm there for you. But with that being said, to the person, if the person is watching this, even if it's on VOD, to the person watching this, I would normally wish you, uh, uh, I would normally wish you a chance, wish you to go. I would say, get yourself cleaned up, so that way you don't ever do this type of shit again. But also, at the same time, you are not welcome here. And if I see you in my community, I will personally kick you out myself. Because I have no place for people who do that type of shit. Now, if he changes, I don't know what I'd do because that would be a questionable thing for me to think. That would be something for me to think about. Because while I have generally said before that people do deserve second chances, at the same time, when you do something like this, that puts me on a bad position because it's like, well, I don't know the person, but at the same time, I've said this. But if I do this, people might go off on me because of his past mistake, So that's something for me to think about if I want to give him a second chance. Currently, my answer is no. I don't know if that answer will change down the line or not, but currently my answer is no, he is not going to get a second chance for me. Especially if he says especially if he said he was going to change. And I say if because again, I can't watch the videos, so I don't know what the hell he said. Um, but um, as long as he stays that way, my answer will be no second chance for me. But if he does change his way, that would be something for me to think about. And I'm being dead honest. I'm being dead honest. I don't know if I would give him a second chance if he did change his ways. But then, there's that one song that just popped in my head as I've said that. It's a song that's titled "My Past Is Not Today." The title pretty much explains what the song is pretty much about. But at the same time, again, it's from a kid's show, so take that as you want to take it. Um, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the man is not welcome currently in my community, and I will hide him uh, if he comes up at any recent point in time because he's hurt so many people for what he said. And until somebody told me uh, that unless enough people tell me that they're giving him a second chance, then I might follow suit, but otherwise, currently, not going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, that man, like I said, like 5 times now, he is not welcome. Um, but again, to those who are affected, uh, it sucks that you have to go through this pain that you're going through. That especially if he was a friend of yours, uh, because I would not want that pain to be felt by anybody. I wouldn't, and it would suck if I was going. And I'm pretty sure everybody would agree. It would suck. It sucks no matter who's going through it. To hear a friend of yours going, doing this shit, um, yeah, it's terrible. Terrible. So, yeah. I hope he. I don't know if I'll give him a second chance, but I hope he changes his ways. I will say that much. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, uh, just be safe on the internet. Be careful with who you talk to on the internet. And for the love of God, for the love of God, do be very careful with what you say and who you say it to. Because the last thing that I would want is for somebody to get in trouble over a miscommunication. Not an actual thing where, well, I knew what I was saying, but I mean an actual miscommunication where you meant to say, like, where you said something, but it was taken in a different sense than what it originally was taken in. Like you was thinking to put, like, compared to what it was originally supposed to be in your mind. So just be careful on the internet. Be careful with who you talk to. Do not throw common sense out the fucking window, please. Just because you hide behind a username doesn't mean you instantly lose your common sense. That's what I was actually gonna say about common sense. Just use your common sense when you talk to people. Come on, it's not that hard. People make it look harder than it is, but it's not that hard. But yeah, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me here tonight. I'm not going to say what I usually say at the end of this. If you enjoy, do this, blah, 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 I'm not going to say any of that because this is not about that. This is about me spreading the message that I felt like people needed to hear. That's the most important thing for me on this video. If you want to like the video, that's up to you. I don't care about in regard to this video. If you want to share with people, again, that's up to you. I'm not going to say it. I know I said it. I know I said both of them, but that's entirely up to the people watching this. I'm not going to act like you should do it because it is up to you if you want to do that with this video. Um, but yeah, I do want to bring up a few people. I do want to say specifically Kever because I heard of him. I heard he found out about it. To Kever, Grande, and all the other communities all the people that he was in the community with, that he was in the community, he was in the Discord server with their own Discord server in. Um, if you guys need to take a few days off to cope with this, that's fine. I'm not gonna make a big deal over, you guys choosing to cancel some stream or take a few extra days off because of what was ultimately said. That is entirely up to you. It is your channel. I'm not gonna try to I'm not gonna dictate what you do. Not that it matters, but was he a viewer or a content creator as well? He is a, I won't say he is a content creator, but that's as far as I'm gonna go with, this person. But again, don't say his name because I want his name to be unrevealed. Again, not in a defensive way, but because the man's already going through enough crap as it is. The man's going through enough crap as it is. He said he admitted to doing something that he shouldn't have, and I expected he is going to be. So I expect him to be going off of YouTube shortly here in the near future. Anyway, you don't know it. Well, as I said, I don't think it needs to be told his name. But if you really must know, I'm pretty sure there are a number of communities that have talked about it on YouTube outside of myself, outside of my channel. But yeah, I'm not gonna. But yeah, I wouldn't say his name even if nobody else was saying it, because honestly, I don't want to throw a hate. I don't want anybody to try to start a hate train at my expense. Because of course, because I know some people on the internet are known to do that, when they pretend to be a fan of somebody, but then they do that shit, where they pretend to be a fan, but then they spread hate to the person just so they can make the content creator look bad. And if I find out anybody in my community sent hate to this man, I'm just going to say this right now. You will be timed out the first time I see you, because I will have no tolerance. That is a zero tolerance on that one. That hate. This hate. I'm just concerned about them coming into my stream. If they do, Coconut, remember, it is your stream. You can choose what to do on your stream. If you have mods, then and they know if they know who he is, they will probably then they might tell you something in the DMs. But personally, for me, I'm not going to say his name to anybody. Even if, like, some people know who he is, but I'm not going to say his name. Because again, I don't want hate thrown his way. He's going through enough crap as it is already. Do we really need to dogpile this man with hate comments because he messed up in a big way? I would say, you could tell a person you're disappointed. You can throw your disappointment at a person in a respectful manner. Yes, you can. But you can even just say, "I'm just disappointed in you because you did this," and that's just enough to let them know. Well, shit, I pissed off a lot of people. But when you throw hate his way, I hate to say it, but it'll make you feel like you just stoop down to his, not entirely his level, but you stoop down to a level that you probably shouldn't have been. Let's see here. He took responsibility. That, in my opinion, should take some hate off. Well, he did take responsibility in his, yeah. But remember, this is the internet. People take hate to the extreme. Even if somebody was to make an apology video or make an apology post of any kind, people still would take the hate to the extreme. Whether the extreme hate is justified or not is a whole different story. But yeah, but somebody that admits to something like this, yeah, I would not be surprised with so much hate being sent their way. But again, I would not wish hate on anybody. because they're already going through enough crap as it is. If they're going through crap, they're going through enough crap as it is with what they said or did. So just block them, mute them, or whatever. Just do something. All you have to do is basically mute slash block the person, and there you go. They're out of your hair. You don't need to send hate messages to them. Just block them or mute them, and they won't be on your. Yeah, unsubscribe from them if you really, really, really don't like what he did. For me personally, I don't even know if I'm subscribed to this person. Let me see. Well, I was, but not anymore. I just unsubscribed from him because I'm not dealing with that ish. I'm not dealing with that ish. I just cannot have him do. I just can't have him in my community, and I'm not gonna have him on there. I know Forrest isn't saying who they are, yet it's best to know who to block. Because the reason why. I'll tell you what, Koken. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. If I were to say his name, and I hope I'm not subscribed to them. This may or may not be a good thing for you then. Alright, you know what? I feel like I kind of built up to this moment. But you know what? Since you are just so very curious, Mr. Coconut, thank Mr. Coconut for me saying this, by the way. The person in question who did this had, because he asked this earlier, 5.2k subscriber. Now, you quit backtracking. Now you're backtracking, boy. You are backtracking. Don't do that. Never backtrack. Never, 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 ever backtrack. Because that irritates me. Regardless of what we're talking about, just don't backtrack. That's it. But as I said before, people have actually said his name. You just gotta look. You actually do have to look because people have actually said his name. Some people that I'm subscribed to have said his name. Now, yeah, so if anybody wants to know who it was, then don't say that kind of stuff. Then next time don't backtrack. Coconut. But if anybody really must know who it is, I will. If you want to know, if you really want to know, you can send me a DM on Twitter or Discord, if you have one and not the other. And I will tell you who it was. But otherwise, I'm not going to say anything outside of that. But yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, the man messed up, and I hope he owns up to his actions he owns up to his mistake by action and not by words. With that being said, I am now going to end the stream. Mr. Coconut is going to no longer backtrack, or I will time him out next time. Nah, just kidding. I had to do a little bit of a funny bit of humor before we ended this. A little bit of funny humor. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream now. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day / night. Thank you. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys later on tonight. It's very rare for me to backtrack, honestly. Yeah, whatever you say. But anyway, yeah, so I'll be live tonight. I'm not sure what I'll be doing tonight. Later on tonight, I'll probably be playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 Road to WrestleMania because I really want to go through that. But yeah, so I'll see you guys tonight regardless of what I play. And until next time, this is Forrest Walpole signing off.